Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I'll be reviewing the Mustang Mk.1A. This is a currently 3.7 BR Rank 3 premium fighter in the Great Britain Air Force's tech tree. This premium Mustang currently costs 1,850 Golden Eagles when not on sale, and comes with 10 backups. With that said, in this video, I'll be going over everything that you need to know about this fighter, including its stats, how it plays, I'll go over its strengths and weaknesses, I'll give it some scores in several key areas, and then I'll give my final recommendation on if I feel that this premium Mustang variant is worth purchasing or not. With that said, if you like this kind of video, please consider subscribing, but without further ado, let's get into the review. Now to start, I'll place the stat card here on the side of the screen. Important things to note are its armament, its top speed, and its BR. Now for how it plays. The Mustang Mk.1A is a bit strange because it plays a bit differently compared to later Mustang variants, especially more advanced D and H models. While it still has relatively good speed and rate of climb compared to similar BR fighters, the Mk.1A has 4 Hispano Mark II 20mm cannons, which is an absolutely devastating armament regardless of BR. Because of this heavy armament, the Mk.1A can pretty much destroy enemy fighters in a single hit, and with its fairly good rate of climb, can even intercept some enemy bombers and most strike aircraft. This heavy armament can even take down those larger and sturdier foes easily, which makes the Mk.1A into a competent interceptor, and after it's done destroying the lower flying bombers, it can then boom and zoom against enemies flying near the ground, which should be plentiful at this BR. Because of its high speed and great armament, the Mk.1A can destroy enemy planes with a quick burst, dashing out of range of other planes with ease due to its good speed. The rudder of the Mk.1A, which is a typical issue of pretty much all Mustangs, will make fine adjustments a bit difficult, so you will need to make sure that you have your target chosen correctly. Otherwise, if you decide to stay and fight after initially engaging an enemy fighter, you can turn decently, but the Mk.1A is a bit of a middle of the pack plane at best insofar as maneuverability is concerned. It will easily be outturned by Spitfires, Zeros, and most BF-109s, so you'll need to ensure that you destroy the best turning fighters first if possible, so that you can then properly engage with the less maneuverable enemies a bit more easily. Basically, this means that the Mustang Mk.1A is great at destroying heavier aircraft as it has such a powerful armament and middling maneuverability, but can typically only afford to be opportunistic when attacking most fighters. This of course doesn't mean that you can't fight them, as you can easily get into a multi-plane dogfight and wipe the floor with the enemy while they're distracted going after your team, but this does mean that most one-on-one dogfights should be avoided, at least if you're not moving somewhat quickly at the start of it. Now with that said, for close air support, the Mustang Mk.1A relies entirely on its cannons, as it lacks the ability to carry any secondary ordnance. Of course, this puts it at a detriment, as even carrying rockets would be nice, but at least the 20mm cannons are good for strafing runs. They aren't as effective as actual ordnance, mind you, but they are capable insofar as destroying light vehicles is concerned. Still, the total lack of any ordnance makes the Mk.1A into a less versatile machine than it otherwise would be if it could carry even a light loadout. If nothing else, the Mk.1A is an absolute beast insofar as its air cover is concerned, and will easily tear apart enemy aircraft as they try to destroy your enemies on the ground. This is one of those aircraft that far outperforms SPAA in destroying enemy aircraft, which means that it's surprisingly effective in ground battles, although not in the traditional CAS role. Still, I personally like to play a hybrid style of gameplay with the Mk.1A, going after air targets as a priority and strafing ground targets when possible. This is easily doable thanks to the 500 rounds in total that your aircraft carries. In short, while not good for close air support, the strafing can still be mildly effective at destroying light targets and getting assist on armored vehicles, while the Mk.1A is absolutely devastating in air cover. Now with all that said, let's get into its strengths and weaknesses. And first, for its strengths. Relative to BR, the Mk.1A is fairly quick. Second, it has a very heavy armament of 4 20mm Hispano Mark II cannons with over 5 kilograms of burst mass per second and 500 rounds in total. For its third strength, it has a surprisingly tough airframe that can take a good amount of damage before finally breaking, though the engine is easily damaged and destroyed. For its fourth strength, this vehicle has a fairly good climb rate that's better than what the stat card states. Fifth, the engine takes quite a while to truly overheat. And finally, this vehicle has premium RP and SL bonuses. And now for its weaknesses. First, this vehicle totally lacks any sort of loadout for ground attack. Second, it has a somewhat average, maybe even slightly below average turning rate at this BR. Third, rudder issues can become a problem when trying to make fine adjustments when fighting enemies. Fourth, this vehicle has a somewhat subpar roll rate. And finally, when it comes to fighting at higher altitudes, this vehicle just doesn't cut it. It's really much better at low to medium altitudes. Now with all that being said, let's get into how I score this vehicle. And first, for air RB and dogfighting, I give it a 7.25 out of 10. Simply put, between the relatively high speeds, strong armament, and fairly good climb rate, the Mustang Mk.1A is a fast fighter with an absolute sledgehammer for its armament. It excels at destroying heavier aircraft, such as bombers and strike aircraft, while being somewhat mediocre in turn fights, though still somewhat capable depending on your altitude and your speed. In all, the Mustang Mk.1A is largely excellent as a fighter for its BR, though if it ever saw a BR increase, I could see its effectiveness waning noticeably. Now for close air support, I give it a 3 out of 10. The only reason why this has a score that isn't lower is because the 20mm cannons are actually somewhat decent versus light ground vehicles and tank tracks, and they have 500 rounds in total between them. Otherwise, the Mustang Mk.1A is not very good versus ground, as it lacks both bombs and rockets, allowing it only to be able to use its cannon versus ground targets. The Mk.1A is much better for providing air cover while performing occasional strafing runs. Now overall, I give it a 6.5 out of 10. As you can tell by this score, I'm weighing its air RB capabilities a bit higher than its CAS capabilities, because of course it is a fighter primarily. With that said, for a fighter, the Mustang Mk.1A is quite good, though it is still a bit flawed. It's a bit heavy feeling on the controls and has a somewhat annoying rudder, but it ends up being an absolute enemy deleter once you actually land a hit or two. Otherwise, while you can perform CAS, its ability to do so is extremely limited due to it having a total lack of secondary ordnance. The Mk.1A isn't very versatile, but it does what it's supposed to do very, very well. Now with that said, do I recommend the Mustang Mk.1A for purchase? For a pure fighter, yes, I do. Otherwise, if you're looking for greater versatility, I would recommend the Thunderbolt Mark I over the Mustang Mk.1A any day of the week. For going after aircraft, the Mustang is a bit better, as it is a bit more maneuverable and of course has a stronger armament, but the Thunderbolt Mark I still has a very powerful armament in its own right, as well as 3,400 rounds of ammunition, which allows for far greater combat endurance than what the Mustang can provide, even though the Mustang still has relatively good combat endurance. Mix in higher speeds in a dive, as well as quite good close air support capabilities, and the Thunderbolt ends up being a better overall choice, especially being that it costs a few hundred golden eagles less than the premium Mustang. Regardless, the Mustang Mk.1A is still a fantastic fighter that is both a ton of fun and is very good at grinding for both RP and SL. It climbs decently enough, turns somewhat decently, and has a hammer of an armament that allows it to annihilate low to mid altitude bombers and strike aircraft, as well as quickly destroy enemy fighters that may be unaware of your presence. So yes, I really do like the Mustang Mk.1A and fully recommend it, as well as give it my Tankenstein seal of approval. Though again, I do recommend the Thunderbolt a bit higher as a priority over the Mustang due to its added versatility. Regardless, the premium Mustang Mk.1A is still incredibly fun and well worth the purchase for air RB players, especially while on sale. With that said, thank you all so much for watching. If you don't mind, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel, as well as commenting on this video with what you think of my review and more importantly, of the Mustang Mk.1A. I look forward to reading your opinions. With that said, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.